This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Would you like us to assign someone to worry your mother?
So I guess we should record it as if we've got Carla Olson on the show, right?
Well, we know that we have her on the
We
show.
do have her, yes.
We've had her.
She's been on the show.
Yes.
She doesn't know it. Our listeners don't know it, but we know
She
it.
knows it. She remembers.
Yes, exactly. Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a good time today because we've got Carla Olson, as everyone knows, apparently.
Apparently.
Yes.
We do.
So Carla's played with an insane number of people and has a really interesting compilation. Is that what you would call it? I don't know if it's a compilation
It's
or
like
like
a compilation or
theme album or
it's more of a theme album. Just a really cool album. Not tribute. I don't know. It's railroad songs.
celebration of railroad songs.
Celebration of railroad songs.
Which, you know who we should get a copy of this to? Dan Rather.
Oh.
He loves a good train song.
Well, we should get this to look at you. You've become sort of the conduit to all these
I just bring people together.
Things,
yeah,
right?
no, it's what I'm known for, bringing people together.
Apparently. Well, why haven't you brought me to anybody yet? Actually, I guess you have.
Yeah.
With all the guests you've booked for us.
Right. Well, if you could just clean up nicer, we'd have something. But
I know.
Here we are. Here we are.
What you can get.
Exactly.
But it's a really interesting album. The music's great. She's got some incredible special guests or friends.
Yes, very much so.
On the album.
So this idea of doing an album of railroad songs, how did this come about? It seems like something like this great old-timey, there we go.
I have CDs.
Awesome.
How did this
today? So
excellent.
That's awesome.
Not gatefold, so people will like that. So
yes, for sure.
How did it become a reality? Is more like it. I mean, my husband and I, was the manager of the Textones, and Kathy Valentine and I started the band. Obviously, you might know that. My husband and I have always been fans of the songs of Gene Clark, where those basically were the songs that spawned the idea of doing an album of railroad songs that were either written for or standards. So it was Gene Clark's Train Leaves Here This Morning, which the Eagles recorded, obviously, and I Remember the Railroad, which was a song that Gene wrote that was never covered by anybody, so until now. And that's kind of where it started. And then Stephen McCarthy of the Longriders had written a song for his band back in the 80s that is the lead track on the album, which is Here Comes That Train Again. We do it slightly different, but quite a bit different actually, and it's sung as a duet, which we planned. Kind of some of these songs are duets, and others are just standalone singers. So that's how it started. Is my husband and I, manager Saul Davis, and I thought, wow, what a great idea. Nobody's ever really done this.
Right.
They've done railroad songs, but they've never done what we did with it, and also uniquely recorded for this project only. So that's started.
And you've got such a great list of folks who participated in this. Was this, how long did it take you to put that list together? It seems like the folks you would have written down on the back of an envelope all said yes.
Yeah, we had some people came on board right away, like well, obviously Stephen, because we'd always been a fan of that song, and Gene's son Kai Clark. I mean, obviously Gene was still alive when we started planning this, but he's unfortunately passed away many years ago. And when we started thinking about who would be additional people that could be on it, Kai recorded his dad's Train Leaves Here This Morning for his own solo album a long time ago, and it didn't come out until after we had planned this this foray into the Americana Railroad album. And I would say that that a couple of these people that are on the album, Peter Case said, "Yeah, count me in," years ago, and uh, and I'm real good for had a huge hit with a song called "Tired of Towing the Line." But he also did a lot of his dad's material, and this is one of the songs that used to be in Johnny Burnett's set, was "Mystery Train," and that's Rocky Burnett singing on it during. Unfortunately, during COVID, we went out there with a laptop and a microphone and distanced ourselves and recorded to his house way out in the desert. Recorded this version of this song, and he just nails it. I mean, it's just great. Barry Goldberg's on piano on that, and Mickey Raphael, who plays with Willie Nelson, played harmonica on it from a distance as well. So, and I guess some of these people you may or may not know. Do you know the band Icy Hawks in LA?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
They're sort of a, well, I would call country Americana trio with, well, actually it's 4-piece, but they've been playing in LA for a number of years and had several albums out. And Rob Waller has this wonderful baritone voice, and we cut some songs that were, well, Conductor Wore Black, which was a Rank and File. If you're that old, you'll remember Rank and File from the 80s. Chip and Tony Kinman's band. We did the song Conductor Wore Black because it was kind of an homage to Tony, who passed away last year, and Tony also had a baritone voice. So and I guess Dave Alvin came to the studio when I was recording this stuff before the lockdown with a song that he had written about his friend Bill Morrissey, and Bill passed away a number of years ago. God, I sound like doom and gloom here, the Rolling Stones, doom and gloom. But the song that he wrote was about literally him riding the train, Southwest Chief, across from Chicago back and forth to LA, and his many travels. He was also playing aboard the train, and then they would pull into stations and play and stuff. He wrote that song as he was coming into the studio. He's like, "I'm not done with the words yet."
Hold on, I needed one more stop.
Yeah, that was the story on that. That's a beautiful, beautiful track on it. And Brian Ray from Paul McCartney's band, we asked him if he would contribute something or sing something, and he went, well, he says, yeah, let's do Whiskey Train, Procol Harum, which I love the song. And we went to his studio. Thinking I was gonna produce it and he was gonna sing it. And he handed, I had the lyrics with me, and he says, no, you're singing it. And I went, I'm singing it.
Like, wait, what?
I'd never sung the song, professionally in my life, but I knew the song because being a Procol Harum fan from way back. But it was kind of, ballsy singing. Yeah, what can I say? And that we've actually made a video for that, so that's should be up and being edited at this point right now. So with Brian and I playing and with the green screen with trains and the whole thing behind us, it should be a lot of fun. I'm just kind of looking here. Also, we've got a couple of people in here you may know from the 80s. Gary Myrick, he had a hit with a song called "She Talks in Stereo." And I've known Gary since I was 16, he was 17, so long time. We're both from Texas. And we both used to listen to the Yardbirds, which one of their famous songs was Train Kept Rolling, which was,
right.
But that actually was Guitar Boogie. That was from the 50s, and that was a song that was more of something, I guess, maybe that was, what can I say? It was a childhood memory when he started playing it. I went, yeah, that's how we used to play it. So, and that one's just rock and, totally pedal to the metal there. The one other person I wanted to mention, John Fogerty is, and the record label BMG, when they came on board in 2021 and said, I'd like to help you, finish this record and get some people on it that we'd love to showcase. They had contacted him regarding City of New Orleans, and he released an album of songs with his kids during COVID that he did actually in his barn. And this song, City of New Orleans, he recorded in his barn. And you can hear the snorting of horses and pigs and cattle and chickens and whatever else. And then I also recorded Mickey Raphael on harmonica on it because it seemed like it needed an answer, call and response kind of thing. So that's another track I wanted to say that we're really happy that we were able to pull that, you know, out of a hat. John York from the Byrds is on this with Runaway Train, which is obviously a metaphor, but it's he's one of my favorite people. I've known him for years. He was in the Byrds after Gene Clark left, and he was in the band with Roger McGuinn and Michael Clark and those guys. But anyway, we're just happy that we were able to finish this during COVID, as I was saying before, a little bit dodgy, and but everybody seemed to want to participate, even long distance. So we're happy to get that pulled off. What can I say? Everything during COVID was a pull off, you know.
Yeah.
Pull that off, you know.
Right. Being super resourceful.
Yeah, super resourceful. Well, everybody became resourceful. So
One of the other
that's it. So
one of the other folks I wanted to mention was Dom Flemons of the Carolina Chocolate Drops, who is on here as well, who is lovely. And again, you have such a great, you know, span of musicians as far as ages and eras that they work in. You know, I mean, did you have a list of these songs? It seems like so many folks just showed up and were like, I'm doing Train Keeps a Rolling, it goes like this, used to go like that.
The songs that the artists and songs that I put together and produced in studio, and obviously with such file sharing, etc. There are 4 or 5 in here, 5 maybe, that I did not pull out of the rabbit's hat myself. Dom, and there's also Dust Bowl Revival. Our publisher, BMG, which is also a record label,
Right.
that's been my publisher. BMG's been my publisher since they bought Bug Music back in the early 2000s. Those were their contributions. Alice Howe, who is wonderful, what a beautiful voice she has, and Deborah Popink, and Paul Birch, and the Pat Kaplan, and then AJ Haynes, who is just a monster guitar player, singer, wonderful. I mean, you know, somebody will say, oh, well, there weren't enough whatever on here. Well, I think we got pretty much, we got it covered.
We got it pretty well covered.
We got it pretty well covered.
Yeah.
And it wasn't intentional. They just kind of like those were the things that that people came forward with. It was terrific. So, and I met some people like Alice. I didn't know her work at all, but I knew Freebo and her producer, and he played on the record and everything, this version of 500 Miles. I used to do that as a folk set back in the 60s, you know. I mean, you can always hear, if you missed the train. I mean, you know right away it's Joan Baez, or, you know, those were my background was Joan Baez and Peter, Paul and Mary. That's where I kind of grew up, first learning to play guitar, and then of course graduated to the Yardbirds and the Stones and the Who and the Kinks and all that after that. But this group of musicians, James Enfeld, I've known for years and years. He was and still is one of the premier rockabilly country guitar players, singers in America. I mean, he's fantastic. And let me see, who else did I forget? I'm forgetting somebody, right? Oh no, wait, hold on. No, that's it. Wait, Dust Bowl Revival, Kai Clark, John Fogerty. I think I pretty much got it, didn't I? Yep.
I mean, that's an amazing list to remember.
It's 19, so
Yeah,
That's outstanding.
yeah. So and Stephen McCarthy and I did Remember the Railroad, you know, because that was Gene's song that kind of got this whole project started, was that, and Here Comes That Train Again, and Train Leaves Here This Morning. So yeah.
Was there any song that after the fact you went, oh my gosh, we should have included that one? Now we got to make a second album.
Yeah, there were a couple things that I really, really wished I could have done. Railroad Lady, which was a song written by Jimmy Buffett and Jerry Jeff Walker. And that would have been kind of cool. But we just ran out of space and time. And
Yeah.
We did.
What's interesting, because I feel like looking down the track list, it was like, oh, well, of course, these all make complete sense and are great songs. And then afterwards, I kept being like, because at first blush, you're thinking, there can't be that many Train songs.
Oh, there's so many.
Well,
So
okay,
many.
if you include the career of Jimmy Rogers, exclude
Sure,
him, exclude
exactly.
him, forget the singing brakeman. But just the other day, like out of nowhere, I was like, engineers don't wait from the trains anymore. I forgot about that one, where it was just this constant, like, you must have been sitting up in the middle of the night being like, damn it, we forgot this one.
So there were quite a few, yeah, and we really did run out of space on this.
Mhm.
This actually was a vinyl release for Record Store Day back in November, and we were not allowed to publicize it because of Record Store Day's restrictions. Double vinyl. But unfortunately, it was a limited run, a limited edition, and I don't know if you can maybe still find one or two out there. But that was in November, and we were trying to do a simultaneous release with the CD, but they didn't want us to do that. So we were kind of hands tied, etc. So yeah, there were some regrets in that regard. But other than that, I think the people we have on this record are just worthy of every note they sing and play. And I'll go back to my favorite, not my favorite track, but my favorite sentiment is Dave Alvin's track, which is Southwest Chief. You listen to it and you tell me if you don't cry. I mean, every time. I was in Europe when I got the first mix of that, and I was doing a tour with my partner Todd Wolf, guitar player. We were doing a tour of Europe in November and December of 2019, and we literally got back in under the wire before the world started getting COVID.
Right.
And I was listening to this somewhere in Germany, in some one of these house concerts that we played, and they put us up in a wonderful, like a chalet, and it's snowing like crazy. And I'm looking out this window at 5 o'clock in the morning at the snow glistening all over the city, and had this wonderful view of the Rhine, and just an incredible place. And put my headphones on and started listening to Southwest Chief, and I just started to just bawl. I missed home, missed my family, missed my pets. I was glad to be there, and now in retrospect, it was kind of the last time we were able to do that for a long, long time. But just hearing Dave Alvin, Dave Alvin is just, it's got this everyman's voice. It's not like he's a pop star or any of that, where you can listen to something and go, oh wow, like Queen or something. It's like just every man. And I'm every time I hear the song, I think about that feeling that I had of being homesick in America and the railroad. And there was a railroad tracks 2 blocks from my house where I grew up in Austin. We used to go after school and go put pennies on the track and wait for the trains to go by. And it's pretty much kind of part of childhood was railroad, and I don't see much anymore. So, but yeah, I know, dying breed. So, but that's why we did the record.
It's perfect. And there is it is a dying breed, but there is this like nostalgia and love for the railroad. And a lot of us did have childhoods where we could go put the pennies up, but even people who didn't have that experience, there's something magical about it. And I don't know what it is.
Heidi, I can tell you what it is. It takes you somewhere. It's going somewhere. And even if you're happy where you are, or like I always had a happy childhood. My folks were great, and brother and sister who it didn't abuse me too much.
Yeah.
But the idea of travel is extremely attractive to people, and the idea of being somewhere that you've never been.
True.
That's where the railroad takes you. So it does actually pull at the strings of greener pastures, or let's go have a Pee-wee's Big Adventure, whatever it is. That is it. I mean, you really kind of think, wow, when you see a train, you don't see that, maybe airplanes to some extent back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You would get that nostalgic, oh, wow, I'd rather be on a plane going somewhere. But really, trains kind of did that. You really wanted to be on that train and have somebody come in the dining car and serve you coffee out of a silver pitcher. Just those things are just wonderful. American, not just American, I'm sure the Europeans and other countries too have the same feeling about trains. But I think that's kind of it. It's romantic. Very romantic.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like you just mentioned the fact that, train travel is worldwide, yet for whatever reason, it's sort of latched on in the psyche of American songwriters, folk singers. I mean, Woody Guthrie, like it is so ingrained in folk music that turned into rock and all of this. Like it's just something that seems very American, even though it's not.
And an extremely heavy metaphor. I mean, trains have been used for metaphor for everything from, drinking blues to like John York is singing a Runaway Train, which is, about nuclear proliferation. So, I mean, I don't get too heady about this, but, it's definitely I think in America,
I think that the North American songwriting, I think, is a part of it, but I think it's also what you were saying before. And the timing weirdly is fortuitous that it's coming out now as everyone's sort of starting to come out of being locked down, because we do all miss the travel. We do. And we are always mystified and in love with it, but we're also, it was taken from us. And so I think that
everything was taken from
right.
us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's and we're thinking it there was a lesson in this horrible thing all endured, and luck is that life is precious, time is precious, and make the best of what you can, and we always think about those things, especially people my age. I'm going to be 70 in July, so I'm like, yeah, there's a lot less time left than there was that I've already lived, so I better get this done. I mean, whatever it is. And you find, I think, that the procrastination that people had before this is, I think a lot of people have kind of gotten over that. They're kind of starting to realize, let's get it done. Let's get stuff done.
Do it.
No, and I think to some of the sentimentality, like you mentioned, the one song, which sounds like the way everybody should hear that song for the first time at 5 a.m. in Germany with the snow falling outside your window. But it definitely, I think, has a certain resonance now that it wouldn't have had prior, that maybe these things all lined up for
maybe so. Yeah.
reason.
I mean, this was a forecast for me, but yeah, I think that especially if you do work on the road as a living, or if you do travel. My dad was a traveling salesman, so I know he spent a lot of time in Europe and Japan and Australia and work with people. And I guess maybe we're all on that edge of the well, not all of us, some people on the edge of the age of, well, can I still do this? I'm just showing people, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
We got this stuff done. I still love performing, but I've only performed for a crowd twice since December. And once was for a tribute to Richie Furay, which was postponed 3 times.
I saw
And
that,
then we finally got it, and to do it. Yeah, it was like, oh, how many these poor people are putting this together, and some people that didn't survive, that didn't make it through the COVID, or not physically, but some of us that didn't survive. So we're just kind of, taking our look back at life, and what can we do to, get on with stuff. So, but I produced 4 albums this year, this past year, 2021. So. And that's more than I've really, I mean, a lot of times, like, you do a record like this record, the Textones reissue album, reunion album, took me from 2012 to 2018 to get that done because of other things in life and,
Right.
lack of funding, et cetera. And people, the bass player of Textones lives in England, the guitar player lives in San Antonio, drummer lives in Dallas, and the sax player and I live here in LA. But we got it done. It's just like pulling teeth. But the rest of this stuff, we just, boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're getting in. We're going to go do it. So, and thankfully, I've got a partner, my husband, he's a producer too, and he worked with Percy Sledge and Gene Clark, and he's much more organized than I am. I do the music, the musicians, and he organizes the studio and and getting everybody there. Not something I like doing. So you got to find a partner in crime, I think, to get stuff done. You guys are together.
It's mostly a guilt and shame thing with us for the other person, but yeah.
Yeah.
Americana Railroad, featuring Carla Olson, Dave Alvin, John Fogerty, and a whole bunch of other people, is available June 17th on Renew Records. For more information, check out Carla's website, carlaolson.com.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com, and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together.